Here we go. When you're going to change the world, don't ask for permission. Rage bait? Probably.
With League, the thing is that you play these characters over and over and over. Hundreds, in some cases, thousands of hours people sit with these characters. I'm actually just messing around in the jungler right now.
Who are you playing?
Mordekaiser. Because he's heavy metal.
They're always in this one map, you know, in this one environment. And you start to wonder, like, where do they sleep? What do they eat? What is their normal life like?
You know, like, what kind of families would they have?
Damn.
We knew
Tough.
Arcane was going to be the very first deep story expression.
What kind of families would they
League of
have?
Legends. There's enough video games where the audience asks for a movie or a show for years and years and years, and then they make it, and then it sucks. And then guess what?
Stares at the Warcraft movie. Fuck. The CGI was really good, but, you know, the rest.
What? People stop asking.
The Fallout
We were
show's
afraid
good.
of that. We were like, if we make
But this is
something that
before that.
isn't at least good, then we're really, really harming the League IP.
Damn, yeah, that's a really important way to look at it. If you fuck it up, it's not just going to have a neutral impact. It will have a negative impact. Well, there she was, dude. The girl, Ella Purnell. Did a phenomenal job voicing Jinx. She was amazing in Fallout as well.
Right now, obviously, you know, the phase is trying to wrap up season 1.
This is Echo was
About hair.
just oh yeah, it was out there.
Oh,
Right.
bald echo. Sorry, that's fucking gets me.
Here.
She will be the worst kept secret of the show.
They were gonna
Everyone will
give him a
know when they see him
mohawk
in that
like
front
that?
You think?
Yeah, of course.
In the trailer, I've seen like several videos, people analyzing it, and they're
There
like,
already is-
"Oh, this
there's already
character
people that say that it's
is
Echo.
absolutely not Echo."
Those people, that's funny. That's funny.
Well,
I was
but
like,
okay,
yeah.
but so the second they see that he has the pocket watch,
True,
everyone
yeah.
knows he's like the you
Yeah.
know the boy who shattered time. I mean,
That's right.
Everyone knows that. Obviously.
Hey,
hey, how are you?
I
I remember you showed me.
Oh, true. He does have a mohawk in the game, doesn't he? Yeah, I think he looks better with the hair that he has in Arcane. I'm gonna be honest.
That we built like a special rig on Jinx. You can kind of control going her face from going looking more childish to like
yeah.
You have that somewhere to pull up?
Yes. So when we first got the first rig of Jinx, the idea was to try to connect her somehow visually to what she was as a kid. Rounder face, bigger eyes, sadder look. We didn't want the typical like crazy girl laughing around like the Joker and just making no sense. We really wanted to make her feel like deranged and emotionally affected by what she went through.
Yeah, not just crazy and damaged for the sake of it, but like because that's what really happened.
I think we were a little bit worried about, you know, when we get to the adult Jinx, that we just lose that, like, I don't know, that beautiful little soul that just just tries to prove to her older sister, like, hey, like, I can do this, you know, like, believe in me. I think we should never work on a project that doesn't offer us something personal to explore. I think for the story that we have, it's a story about family, it's a story about siblings that have a hard time forgiving each other. It's a world of technology kind of taking over and us feeling like we're losing control over it. I think that those are just things that we as people think about and care about. You know, I think we want to also ask some questions that we think should be asked without necessarily giving you the answer, but at least asking like, hey, does a person, you know, like Jinx deserve a second chance? Can a monster ever be forgiven? I don't know. If you can figure out like what is something that if you love it, a lot of people would love it, that's where you really should go hard. And I think that's what we tried with Arcane, you know. We'll see, but I think it has potential.
Yeah. You could say that. Oh, he's like a skink.
How you doing, bud? The skinks. I've had them for 23 years now. I got them when I was 15 and definitely old enough to make that kind of commitment. The thing when you work on story is that just generally speaking, it never stops. I feel like I just have voices in my head that argue a lot, and every now and again, something they say makes sense, and then you write it down. And that's basically, that's how the characters happen. These are
Chaos.
Obviously League of Legends characters mostly. I was original creative on
Damn.
like Riven up there and Ari and
Oh, that's like Vi and like a full blown, you know, and like looking at the art of Vi, I mean, I wouldn't be too surprised if Vi ends up joining like Jace and becoming like the new like leader of the Enforcers or something. Like that'd be kind of crazy. Let Vi and Caitlyn become like the new, let them run that shit since Marcus got fucking wrecked. Assuming they survive, which I'm assuming they will. But, well, you know, I would assume.
Wukong, Nautilus, Lee Sin, and then there's just, I don't know, that guy I thought was cool.
So I did go to school for writing. You know, I went out to LA. One of the things that I stumbled upon was a truly bare bones, desperate sounding Craigslist post for a video game startup. My first and consistent reaction to that was this company has no chance.
I started playing in beta, and I
Oh
found,
my
the
God.
job offering to work in customer support at Riot on Craigslist, which led me to be interviewed by Alex.
Yep. For the record.
Old League, dude.
And I think League was just really fun because it felt like there was kind of like the fingerprint of the people who made the game was so palpable when you played.
so
The characters
dark.
were so quirky, they were so different. You could just kind of tell people were just enjoying making these characters.
Early champ concept meetings were
Oh
so
my
fun.
God.
We only had the one conference room, and it would just be everyone at the company who liked that, who was enthusiastic about it, just comes in, and you'd show up with something, right? You'd be like, here's this sweet art that I found, or here's this idea that I just jotted down. How do we turn that into a champion?
Well, they haven't even changed. I mean, they're still a small indie company, right? Just like Blizzard. Just small indie company.
I think the reason that we focused on Jinx was because, I don't know, Jinx just always had this spirit at the company. Katie D'Souza did this. It
That's
wasn't a
sick.
sketch, it was like a full concept of what she called Psycho Arsenal. It was not so different, honestly, from what Jinx looks like right now. You know, the long pigtails and just kind of like guns all over the place. I mean, everyone just fell in love with it immediately.
200 years.
Vi and Jinx were characters that Alex and I always really liked.
Bravo, sis.
We worked on them together on, you know, the different kind of teams. Alex was working on like the characters themselves, like their creative, their voiceover lines with, you know, other writers.
She's such a loser, always ready to cry.
And I worked on the music and then the cinematic on Jinx. So on the, I want to try something fun right now. So fun should have some kind of spike up, you know, like the screechy.
Okay, I'll try. Come on, shoot faster, just a little bit of energy. I wanna try something fun right now. I get some people gonna die like that. Let's blow this situation.
Banger.
And you know, when
But it
Chris
does get your video blocked. It's tough.
made Get Jinxed, that was, you know, the most storytelling I think we'd seen in a video at that point.
Arcane
So beautiful.
started when Alex and I sat down together and were thinking what the devil we should be doing next.
Riot in general kind of struggled to put out like long-form narrative content. Our goal was to have deeper storytelling, right? To not just do video game action. Or as we at the company tend to call it, fight porn. I don't know if we call it that anymore, but that's what it always was.
I just always had this sense of obligation to the players. You know, it just felt like we created these characters and the players answered us by spending so much time with them and loving them, and it just felt like they deserved to have better stories.
Whenever Jinx kills someone, she actually gets kind of like amped up. If basically the promise is
It
like,
would be nice to find some kind of thread, some sort of like emotional question thread.
We were just kind of talking, you know, like, man, like how fun it would be to make something that's a bit bigger, you know, and the animation space and the story space, and to kind of embrace all these different strengths that the team had developed over the years. Animation, music,
every child. That sounds dumb.
building characters,
It doesn't.
stories.
It's one of the best songs that came out of League, dude. I mean, yeah, it's one of my favorites, dude. It's fucking. I love a Moo song. It's fucking tragic.
And just go deep on it. We had this amazing, amazing partner in Fortiche, this animation studio in Paris. We worked with them on the Jinx music video, on the Imagine Dragons music video for Warriors. They just always had this like this X
Sick
factor of,
trailer.
like, these beautiful visuals, it's super artistic and everything. It just kind of always clicked, you know?
I always thought that if there's any superpower that we had in the beginning to make Arcane a thing, it was whether or not we could really unleash the potential of Fortiche.
Oh, he's sick with it. Wicked.
Le problème, c'est de finir après avec un shot final où t'as Rémi qui serait beaucoup trop à gauche et lui qui serait beaucoup trop à droite, quoi.
The Buddha is the yes man of the company. He's saying yes to everything. Is this a good idea? Yes, it is. Can I do it? Yes, you can.
We do a mix of 2D and 3D because the 2D effects are done in 12 images by second, then and the animation it's 24 like all the movie. So you have a mix of style, geek with dirty.
Hard at work.
Yes.
C'est très bien. C'est l'énorme lentille. Typiquement, moi, je suis pas fan de la 3D pure et je trouve le style très intéressant, quoi. C'est plus organique.
How do you texturize something to look like a painting?
We paint.
It's the Discondra family. Some Outer Wilds music right here, bro.
So let's say you have like a character smoking a cigarette. Instead of having like a 3D smoke being simulated by 3D tools, it's actually 2D drawn frame by frame, and it gets this almost cartoony effect.
So good, dude.
In fact, I start to do this 2D mix and 3D since 20 years with music video.
On est en train de mal triper.
We're having a bad trip.
For me, it's a new way to do animation. It's not anime, it's not full CG, it's a mix of everything.
Are you feeling good about season 1?
It's an interview right now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm not in the good mood.
I met Arnaud in a party. Arnaud was doing fun, cool music video with no money.
Je faisais de l'animation, mais c'était tout le temps un peu expérimental. En mix média, en stop motion, mais souvent avec une grosse partie quand même live action.
Cheers.
Ask Pascal a little bit.
Ask what?
Maybe another day.
This day, like, just no one wants to be talked to.
It's gonna be easier.
I met Pascal, he was the best guy for doing character in Paris.
When I was a kid, my dream was to make comic books or work on, for Marvel and stuff like that. I like characters. I like how you can bring personality and bring story.
I think back then I just found these tests that they would do where you go like, man, like this looks different. This doesn't look like the typical expensive Hollywood.
I was gonna say that blue-haired guy looked familiar. That's Gorillas? That makes sense.
I think he liked the mood because it was more adult, more lighting with flares and haze and
just very moody,
like a live action movie.
Fortiche from the very beginning had this very unique approach to camera, making you feel like there's a person filming whatever's happening. There was an imperfection that could only be human in how it moved and how it felt.
That's why, I think that's why a lot of companies and studios and stuff, they still choose to film things over the shoulder with an actual, cameraman in most cases. It's like, how do I put this? Like, sometimes gimbal work makes things look too smooth. Like, it looks uncannily smooth to where it's like, it's kind of like, it just looks unnatural. So...
To be fair, the first answer when I went to...
What's going on there, bro? We love some POV shots? I bet you do. Just like that one.
Right leadership was like, I think we should make a TV show about our characters that is the highest budget ever spent on an animated series. It's gonna be great. The first answer was, no, get out of the office.
That was like oh crap. Like, Christian has showed up with those like bold ideas and bold asks before, but this one was such a leap from sort of music video to like full animated show. It's so unbelievably daunting. And in the back of my mind, I'm just going, how am I going to talk Christian out of this? Like, how am I going to help him realize that like we're jumping the shark here?
And then I came back and said, okay, give me like $2,000. And they're like, okay, fine. And so we just started, doing some concept art. It was like, okay, this looks really cool, right? Yeah, this looks pretty cool.
I thought it was a great idea, but I also knew how difficult it was to pull something like this off. We have something called the video game curse, which is very few games have adapted into film and television well.
One of the things that's really true that I think every creative can relate to is a lot of great creative ideas, they're fragile. They start off as a dream and an idea and a vision, and they haven't been fleshed out necessarily.
Okay, it was a little bit more. Now we can explore some 3D models and everything. Like $5,000.
Big
like,
process.
Okay. And
I don't remember getting any of this money.
Anyway, not to linger on this very unimportant.
You got $2,000.
All right, this is our first behind the scenes in the writer's room. Alex, what year is it?
1922.
While we were developing the story, we also started working with Fortiche on these little spikes, you know, of like, hey, what would it look like if Vi was just in her apartment in Piltover, and she's like venting about how Powder, her little sister, you know, is just always messing up. You know, it was just a test of like, hey, like, can we even do animation where acting feels good?
All you had to do was run, Powder. Didn't we spend a bunch of time preparing you for this? You and I?
In the back of my mind, I was going, I kind of hope this loses steam because this is so unbelievably ambitious. Like, I don't know how in the world we're gonna pull this off.
It was an interesting initial animation.
That's when I said, okay, could you give me like, I think it was like
Looks a little less
$65,000 or
tough.
so.
Now I kind of wish Vi looked like that. I think the way Vi turned out is better. And then obviously the voice. The actual voice actress they used is much better.
And there was this fight scene, it was sort of this animation test with Jace and Vi on a rooftop. It was so sick, just in terms of how the characters were expressed and how they came to life.
Damn.
Like all those little incremental tests they were just like, yeah, we need more of this.
I mean,
I think that was the time when I think they realized,
yeah,
that I'm probably serious about this project.
Yeah.
I said to them, well, I mean, you have concept art now for the characters, for environments, you have 3D models, you have animation tests, you have material that we've had developed for the pilot. And I was like, are we gonna do this or not?
Oh man, especially in the fucking camera work, you can really see how like that served as the bones for what they would create. The dynamic camera movement, the action shots, even some of the sound design is just like just shining through there, man. That's fucking sick.
I sort of think about it as like, oftentimes not knowing what we're getting into was an advantage, because I think if we did know, we would have said, there's no way.
I mean, animation tests, it was beautiful, right? But it was just a small snippet of what the full series would be, and there were so many questions about like, oh, what is the full story?
To me, the stakes are really high because we want to be respectful of players' time and trust. I'd for
That's the
sure much
CEO.
rather not do a show than releasing something that's just okay.
I don't know if anyone among Riot's leadership necessarily thought that we would definitely be able to do it, but I think they all understood that we just had to try. You know, I mean, like this was a bet. It was a risky bet. You just kind of have to, at some point.
That's the
make that
old
bet,
CEO?
you know, otherwise, it's only gonna be ever a theory.
Fortiche was 5 people. So we had to build a studio of now 200, 250, 300 people, which is like, how do you build an animation studio? You know, we're a game company, how do you do that?
At that point, Fortiche had produced 2, 3, 4-minute music videos.
Le pari pour Christian et Riot, c'était est-ce qu'on était capable de sortir 5 heures, 6 heures de films. Et non plus, on ne savait pas.
When I met Christian, I remember him talking about the character arcs and what's gonna happen in that episode, and you know, I've already that in mind, and it's gonna be like so emotional. And I was like, dude, you're crazy. We haven't even started the first minute of the show. I don't think he was realizing what he was getting into, but I think he was a fool. But the excitement he had when he was talking about the show made the difference to me.
Even when there are a lot of question marks and obvious concerns, and on paper it's not supposed to work because, you know, the experience isn't there and the resume isn't there. Like, that's precisely when it's worth jumping into the deep end of the pool and learning how to swim.
Il y avait plus de peur
Gotta take a
pendant le
risk.
test que que finalement quand on a commencé à faire le pilote. C'est là où on a pu mettre tout ce qu'on avait un peu en nous, toutes nos références.
Young Victor.
Il y a eu ce côté, ouais, enfin le côté geek, grâce à Christian et Riot quand on a vu qui nous laissait les clés.
Pilot production begins in fall of 2016. Yeah, the amount that they had to learn during production is crazy. Oh shit. Fucking tripled in size. "10 months." For the first episode. Holy shit.
Basically, we had the pilot, wrapped up more or less, and now was the time to start working on the rest of the first season.
We had an entire arc for the first season, filled with moments, lots of art, lots of exploration, different locations, different characters, and we were already feeling the pressure of the sort of pipeline rolling.
These episodes take a tremendous amount of time to animate, and once the episode is in various stages of animation, changes are possible, but any change is tremendously disruptive in terms of the amount of time and resources it takes to so you're kind of locked in.
So yeah, at some point, there was a meeting on my calendar, and I went to Brian's office, and there was like a bunch of people in there.
He basically, he called me and told me like, hey, I just talked to Brandon and like everyone.
It was basically like an intervention meeting.
And by the way, that's what we do for everything, even in game. If we're like on the cusp of launching and we think it's not right, like we'll stop, we'll hold, we'll pivot, we'll cancel.
Perhaps it's time I cut my losses.
I think with everything creatively, you're always kind of waiting for that hammer to fall. We wanted to make sure the story that players got lived up to their expectations. If we couldn't do that, then we shouldn't do that.
The consensus was
Blonde Silco
you
does
don't have
not
a story yet,
exist.
and
He's not real.
it's not going to work,
Damn. It's a good way to start. I want to watch this animation test. Building up the suspense, man. Just like they did with the show. It's funny because that explosion animation reminds me of Jace's lab getting exploded in the first episode. Pretty sick. Yeah, it's definitely a lot more stiff. Obviously, missing a little bit of the bounce and natural movements to the characters. Vi looks fucking weird. Vi looks so weird to me. It's so strange. But yeah, I can definitely see why I mean, you know, how that kind of laid some of the initial groundwork for what it would become. That's pretty cool. What is truth but a survivor's story?
Managing Fortiche is like, sometimes I feel like a band manager. Like, guys, you're doing whatever you want, but I want you on stage at this time for the concert and the gig. And they're always on time at the end. So you have to trust them. 2-0! So we are in 2017, and everybody is working really hard to deliver the pilot. And then we had a discussion with Riot, explaining to us that we're not happy with the script, with episode 2 and episode 3. At the end of the call, we were like, have they really said that? I think we have misunderstood them.
That stings.
When we arrived in LA, and then it was, hey guy, yes, we want to do a pause on the production, put everything on hold. We were like, oh my gosh, that was true.
Persistence, or when your best still sucks.
Everything is going to shit right now.
I guess that was pretty much at the point where they had drafted together a couple of scripts and sort of a show bible for the entire season. The next thing I know, Christian mysteriously gets pulled into a meeting, and then it was like a strange intervention where a bunch of other rioters basically told him that it sucked. It was such a blow to the team to just feel like, man, we're being told to stop completely and potentially even find different showrunners, different writers for the whole thing.
You know, you've been killing yourself, you know, to try and make it work and try and figure it out. And you, like, just, I mean, your first thought, of course, is just like, is it dead?
We were really only able to hire all these animators with the promise that there would be a full season to work on. Because, you know, they're very, very talented, and you really only get them if you have something kind of worth committing to, you know, like a multi-year project.
And so we just kind of had this feeling like we're gonna have to...
Yeah, it would be interesting to see what they originally had. And see, like, how bad it was, you know, according to what they said. Like, just to kind of see.
Tell all these people that we just hired, they have to be like, oh, which just, I don't know, it's just like the worst thought.
I think Alex and I just felt like we suck. Like, we failed.
It's hard not to.
Christian's a tortured artist who can't let himself not do something great. Like, he will will it into existence because he will beat himself up and lose sleep and go crazy.
There were a lot of times during my career at Riot so far where I needed someone like Brandon or Mark to explore some pretty wild ideas. You know, where a lot of people would say, like, no one in the video game industry has full-time composers, you know, like, we can just hire someone from the outside as a freelancer to make some music for us.
That's interesting. Oh, that's in 2004 or 2014. I was going to say, because Soken did most of the composing, pretty much all of it for Final Fantasy XIV, but that was in 2013 and onward. So there you go.
Or why would we make music videos? That's insane, you know, like, video game companies don't make music videos.
Right. But that's not, I mean, everyone knows that you're a music company that makes video games. Everyone knows that. This guy didn't have a clue. Dude, I'm telling you, the music video shit is like some of the most unique, interesting, like, draw new people to the fandom type shit that you could ever come up with. Like, it's unreal, dude. Like, I swear to, like, I wish Blizzard would do it. Like, I wish they would do that. And no, Tauren Chieftain, whatever, is not the fucking same thing. Is not the same fucking thing.
Back then,
Elite
was
Tauren Chieftain
Mark
is
and
not the
Brandon
same thing.
Who kind of saw the idea and, like, how awesome this could be, and they took bets on, you know, me being able to figure it out.
So then in the meeting, everyone left. It was just Brandon and me, and basically, I think Brandon kind of took like the moment to kind of tell me, hey, like, we'll figure it out. You know, like, we trust you. You know, like, we'll figure it out. And I just started crying.
Christian's biggest fear is letting players down. He crushes himself over it. It's actually painful for those closest to him to sort of watch, and it gives you so much respect and appreciation and ultimately trust in what, you know, he decides to take responsibility and ownership for.
Hello everyone. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about our decision to delay the further production of the follow-up episodes of Arcane.
I remember I think I recorded like 16 different versions of this video because I just always was just kind of sitting there like,
And I wanted to give you guys some more information about it, you know, why, what our plan is, and so on. And I'm sure you've heard from...
You can just tell that he's just so fucking sad, dude. Oh, man. That's rough.
We did not show this. The question was, if we start with that, everybody will cry, everybody will jump out of the window.
I finally made a version of the video that I felt like was okay, and I sent it to them, only to learn a few weeks later that they were like, yeah, we never showed it to anyone because you just look so depressed. You look like you want to kill yourself. Like, how could we ever show that to anyone?
So it was like a harsh time.
So we had to let the team go, which is always very painful. You're not sure they're going to be able to come back because if they go to another production, you might lose them.
We knew that we wouldn't have work for them for the months to come. So we started talking to different teams at Riot and started asking people, hey, is there anything we can do, like a music video or anything that could just keep, you know, the lights on at Fortiche. We talked to the esports team and there was a desire to make a music video.
I watched all of
Like a
those.
Rise music
I'm
video,
pretty sure.
And then we
They're
started
fucking
talking
sick.
to the music team, and they were working on something like a crazy idea about a K-pop group.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So they did 2 music videos
Banger.
with us, which I think are still some of the best, if not the 2 best, on our YouTube channel.
They're 2 of the best videos on YouTube. That's just my opinion.
Alex and I are shit at our jobs because if we hadn't taken that extra time to develop the story, the KDA Popstars music video and the Rise music video would have never happened.
Ces deux clips nous ont permis aussi de résoudre certains petits problèmes techniques qu'on pouvait avoir qu'on avait pu avoir sur le pilote et d'affirmer un peu plus le style de la série.
So, you're welcome.
It's kind of sick that these helped inform. There's that guy again. I didn't realize the guy that pushes the car is that guy in the show. It's him. I didn't fucking realize. It's that guy that gets dragged into the brothel and is floating on the fucking airship thing. Yo. That's so crazy. Yeah, it is insane to think that they wouldn't have made this if Arcane didn't initially fail. And then what they did with this led to them being able to do Arcane. That's so crazy.
Poor cripple from the Undercity.
Oh, Victor.
I was an outsider the moment I stepped foot in Piltover. I didn't have the benefits of a patron or a name. I simply believed in myself.
At that point, the idea was I had to replace myself as like the person in charge of figuring out the story. Of course, you know, it was me and Alex, but I was responsible.
It's a tough thing to have to do. It's tough.
We just knew we had to hire someone who's experienced as a showrunner and as writers and that kind of stuff.
And that way you can focus on what you're good at. It's important. You know, I feel like I see that a lot in workplaces, even with myself, where what I really enjoyed and what I was really good at doing, you know, I got moved up to a different position or was handling extra responsibilities, and I wasn't able to do a good enough job and retain and still do what I needed to do. And I feel like I saw a similar thing happen with like Ishikawa for Final Fantasy 14, where they moved her up to kind of take over Koji's place, but then the writing for Dawn Trail was just not nearly as good. And you know, sometimes I kind of wish that you know, there was like a stepping down so that the thing could be what it needs to be, you know? Like, or going back, right? I just think sometimes company shuffling can fuck a project up.
And that's what we tried to do.
Not that this guy was moved up necessarily. I mean, I guess he was, but you know, not like he had been given that specific role and then now needed to come back from it. But you know what I mean? Like, to be able to focus on what is important. When it's your baby, it's hard to give up anything or give someone else control. Tell me about it. How do you think I felt when I first had someone start editing my videos for me? Like, I mean, I know exactly what that feels like. And there are days still where, you know, Jay does a great job. There are days still where it's hard. So I get that. So, yeah. And sometimes, you know, you can maybe get a feeling like, oh, I would have did that different or a little bit better in this way. But then there's also ways in which you wouldn't. You know, Jay, for instance, brings to the table different aspects of humor and perspectives that I don't have. So it can definitely be hard to let you know, someone do that. So yeah, I get it. I get it.
Except we couldn't really find anyone. 6 years ago, if you pitched that the video company was gonna do like an animated series that is looking for like drama screenwriters, no one really showed up. Or it was just, you know, people were in for the wrong reasons, you know, where it was like, well, I mean, League of Legends and Riot is big, but they didn't really care about the characters that much. So we looked for quite a while, and at some point,
that's
we
cool.
just felt like maybe we'll just kind of have to try again, but be less shitty.
I'll make, like I said,
and then yeah, I mean, it was
we'll
just
make an announcement video.
Start over, you know, like kind of look what we do. This when we started talking to showrunners, you know, like who could we bring in to just be an advisor.
That's when we found Monica Macer. You know, she was a showrunner. She worked on Lost, was someone who was really passionate about mentoring people, and she really helped us find the right way to realize our vision, you know, without necessarily being like, here's what you have to do. More just about here's all about the process of how to craft a season, how to think about developing characters.
And then we hired,
Man, I
you
would
know,
love
a bunch of
to be
writers
taught by
who
someone
worked in
that
various
knows that.
capacities in TV. So you know, Amanda was one of those writers.
I know. It's so good. It's so good.
You're like always trying to get into the heads of your characters in any way you can.
Amanda.
I did have one of the writers.
Giga Chad. Fuck yeah, dude. We stan Amanda. I don't know anything about Amanda except that she wrote. We stan Amanda. Please, Amanda, keep on writing the series. Yeah, the font they chose is sick. It's almost like a hand style written in like a thick paint pen. It's dope.
Teach me how to shoot a gun, like a sniper gun, right before I was gonna write
Fuck yeah.
Caitlin's episode last year.
Hell yeah. And this is a really cool thing I was reading in Realms of Runeterra is that the inventors of Piltover, they often will put their family sigil on things that they create, often very like artistically so, like woven into the design of it. And it's like on all the things that they make. So to see the engravings down to a bullet is pretty fucking sick.
We're in my house, and I have a little office here where I do my writing.
Nice. Can you show me that?
Sure.
She's like,
Through
do
the
I have
kitchen,
to?
Into my nook.
Oh,
I have
wow.
these lights I turn on
That's
at night
cute.
to sort of inspire me. There we go.
Always got to have some lights.
They'll have scripts that they'll send over to you as kind of a sample of their work. And Amanda, I think with hers, it was comic book video game scientist. And her story was about a future world where we've colonized the moon. And I was like, this seems like it could be a good fit for us.
I would prefer not to have a punching bag in my living room, but that's just what we do right now. So I actually never thought about how my kung fu translates to learning how Vi's a fighter.
Rotten luck, boys.
But there's a fight scene in episode 5 of season 1, which
I remember seeing that. It's
one of the
so
things I'm
sick.
like so proud of is it's like between two women with like a different body type, different like both like really muscular. They're doing moves that you haven't necessarily seen women do before on screen. I always think of fight scenes.
No idea
being
how
just
she
like another
survived.
talking drama scene. Like there has to be a turn, there has to be motivations.
Right.
You have to learn something new about the character in the fight that you didn't know before.
I'll give her your regards.
I think that's one of the things I enjoy the most about well-written characters. Like Amanda's saying, is getting in the headspace of the character. Where are they from? What is their story? How do they like look? Who do they associate themselves with, such so that you can understand how they will talk, how they will speak. Like that's so. I just love the nuance of that. Like I love like everyone would not speak the same. Everyone would not use the same slang. Everyone would not speak with the same kind of grit or aggressiveness. Like figuring that out is one of my favorite like concepts of like writing, of just like who is that character? Because often how they speak is it's a direct reflection of all of those other things, and how they speak around certain people, like how that can vary. Yeah, I think that's cool. Because like someone who doesn't do that, all the characters are just gonna sound the same. So yeah.
And then of course, by another woman. 3 women in a fight scene. It's fucking dope. So
Amanda just has a really honest voice in her dialogue that is just really grounded emotionally. I remember this moment when Alex and I were really wrestling with the last words that Jinx was saying to Vi in season 1. And then like Amanda took the script and solved it in like, I don't know, an hour.
Damn.
I thought maybe you could love me like you used to.
Damn.
Even though I'm different.
Such a well-written scene.
But you changed too. So, here's to the new us.
Amanda just wrote that, and Alex and I were just like, "Yep, that's it." And we just couldn't do that, you know.
I think the biggest change,
Cinema.
from the way that we were looking at it before, was it was very plot heavy, right? It's very focused on kind of like, what's the problem that has to get solved? Who's going to fight who? What I think most improved after kind of working with these writers was sort of like the emotional story for the characters.
I'm quite proud of the cold open too, the like whole beginning of the season with the bridge. The cold open used to be the cold open from episode 3 when Silco was drowning. I sort of went out on a limb being like, so guys, I know you hired me to help out with the show and whatever, but you need to change the pilot. That's a lovely poetic image, right? But it wasn't telling the story of the series, which is these 2 sisters being torn apart.
That's when I came in as a CEO, taking this big role with the idea of becoming a multi-game developer and a multi-game publisher, which on its own is a really difficult challenge to go from that one hit to multiple games. And then there was this little curveball, and by the way, we have this TV show, which probably is going to cost us, a massive 9-digit budget. There is a lot of risk in this.
To be completely honest, Niccolo and I were always on like completely opposite spectrums. He's a business person. He's someone who's just extremely smart in like a rational way. He doesn't really let himself get carried away by like his emotions or like by his own personal attachment to anything. And I'm the opposite.
Same.
I always have opinions. I'm always, emotionally attached to the stuff that I work on.
Same.
I'm an artiste, I guess.
Christian, actually, I remember bringing him in my
like
office
this
to say, hey, we've decided if we're gonna fund you for a full season. He had done the pilot, and we paused, and I told him like we're not gonna fund a full season for Arcane. And then I told him like I think it's really important you understand why, because you and I can be on a different page, but it's very important you understand where I'm coming from. And the reason I'm not going to validate you to move to a full season is because I'm going to allow you to move to multiple seasons. And so I kind of trolled him a bit.
He pulled a bit of a prank.
That's so mean.
And I think he was really pissed at me for this.
So yeah, he definitely gave me the trust that I needed to develop Arcane the way that Fortiche and our team at Riot needed to do it, which was not the easy way, but like really this like pursuit of like, hey, this is what we think our audience wants, and it's ambitious and crazy, but we need you to trust us, and he did.
You need to stay committed to players because nothing's going to be easy. There will be many moments where you want to give up. I know Christian went through this multiple times, we went through this multiple times, and you need to have the grit and the courage to continue for players.
As we were looking at trying to scale a lot more, and then we had season 1 in production, and we started to think about how are we going to do the first development of season 2 at the same time. That's when we started looking for someone to help figuring out the production scale a bit more.
It was tough because we couldn't find the right culture fit. A lot of people kind of shied away from like, hey, this isn't normal TV, this isn't normal animation. I think I'm just gonna go, insert any animation studio out there, right?
Their loss, huh?
But finally, one time I got connected with a woman named Melinda Dilger.
Hey guys, come on in. Welcome to Casa de Dilger. I work here because of COVID. This is Willie Nelson. He's the boss of Arcane right here. He's in all the meetings. He loves it. He loves his
fucking
job.
tongue.
Yes. I just loved talking to her. She had such a warm energy, and she just also had experience. Like I mentioned some of the issues that we were dealing with, and
It's
she seemed
Heimerdinger.
unfazed by it.
Yeah.
This is where all my meetings happen. It's very exciting. This is where I burn off my energy. And I got that when I worked on Mary Poppins Returns, which is kind of cool. Yeah.
I remember sitting down all of the stakeholders, and I think I literally told them, you better not pick this up. I like her, she's awesome. If you pick this up, I'm gonna kill you.
I was producing by the time I was 24.
Damn.
That was when I was really young. I worked on Darkwing Duck. That was my very first animated show to be on as a production assistant. I was working on Goof Troop, Aladdin. I won an Annie Award. That's kind of a big deal right here.
An
This
Annie
is
Award,
very
huh?
very proud of this. Very nice. I know whenever people tell me, they're like, oh my gosh, I watched that as a child. I'm like, oh, I'm so old, but it's okay. It's okay. Now everybody looks at me and they say, we're so glad we have somebody with so much experience on the show, which really equates to old, but it's okay. I can take it, Riot's a very young company.
And I am rolling. All right, I think you've had enough, mate.
Yeah, the team health when I first started wasn't so great. Everyone was like, I was like, man, this team, they need some loving. They need some loving.
Making the show that we kind of set out with Arcane, with the right designs for these characters that work in our IP, this fantasy world.
The pursuit of creative work is complex. If your expectation is that you're gonna work on something creatively where you're gonna have no pressure or no feeling of like being overwhelmed at times, then you're working on something the world is gonna forget.
By then, I think I was super exhausted because I was like 3 years into the project or something. I know Christian was exhausted, Alex was beat, and like she brought in that new energy and just sort of this like, yep, let's pick it up and let's go.
How are you guys feeling? Are you exhausted? Break? Or are you okay to keep going? From what I was hearing, it was just taking them a long time to kind of get their bearings. And let's face it, Fortiche, our animation partner studio in Paris, they had also never produced a series. So you have a bunch of newbies trying to figure this out, and lo and behold, it is really a difficult process, and it's a challenging one, even for those of us that have been in the business for a really long time. You missed a really long, important strategy meeting that answers all the questions of the universe.
That was a Rosebud meeting.
For Riot and beyond. The Rosebud meeting.
Damn.
Melinda was always someone that is extremely inspiring to the team and creating a team atmosphere where it's okay when things are tough, as long as you just kind of believe in the team and have the right dream together.
Like, well, you can get everything in New York. Like, oh, gee. Oh, God, I can't.
Production crew.
See, you guys didn't think you'd be on behind the scenes, and here you are. There's Eric Bergman, our post supervisor. Hi, Eric's used to all the publicity. Eric, you're on mute. See, this is what we do every Zoom call.
Hello.
Somebody's always on mute.
Hi,
Yeah.
everyone. Nice to meet you.
I just came in and kind of rolled up my sleeves and went from department by department, just trying to get everybody together and get to know each individual on the team as a person. This is a French studio and there's no wine.
It's like there's two teams, the beer team and the wine team.
Well, where's the wine team?
SKA! SKA, get in here right now! Whoa!
That's part of building team trust. And then you can start to actually solve the problems. Dig deep. That's what you gotta do.
Do you have any apple juice? No, you little
So
shit.
this is our production schedule. In March of 2020, that's when this started. And then it goes all the way through the last episode. Because this is the first series Riot's ever done, a lot of things are getting figured out and developed as we go along
me,
in production.
dude.
So it's
Look
taking-
at that fucking production timeline. Oh my god. Oh
because
my
this is the
god.
first series Riot's ever done.
Oh my god. That looks like your Excel sheet? Yo, it does, dude. It does. It does. Oh, that's awesome.
A lot of things are getting figured out and developed as we go along in production. So it's taking a little bit longer than it typically would on a television series that's all thought out. Everything's figured out way ahead of time. This is like, how can we make this more unique and more special than any other show on television? Let's take our time and do it right. And if it takes us a little bit longer to get those scripts done, that's what we do.
I bet you can relate a lot being a content creator, even though it's different scales, for sure. Yeah. But you know what? This kind of thing, like, gives me some experience that I could, you know, I can use that in the future. Maybe. I'm almost 30 years old, so we'll see. But, man, it would be cool to take what I do and in some way, it'd be cool to work at a company like this. It'd be fucking sick. You know, when you're not having an existential crisis or in fear of losing your job. You know? Content creation never ends, though. Arcane had the final deadline. It's also a team. They're not really the same thing.
There's a natural balance of power, and you just gave everybody nukes. Congratulations, you fucked up, right?
This is the thing that's always been a little fuzzy to me, is just kind of how we end this episode with the Victor Singe thing.
Yes, I would love to bring Vi back into Caitlin's mind in this episode in some way. I wrote like something about missing Vi that I have not solved yet either.
And to kind of like take the IP that's there from the games and turn it into something really awesome for television is a challenge. They're going to spend more money than most people to get it there, but they're doing it because they love the players and they want the players to be happy. And it's special. It's like you don't just see them as these little tiny things walking across the screen. By putting them on television, they have
bring
soul
them to life.
and they're deep and you can relate to them.
Yes. Oh, dude, she gets it. Unsurprisingly, she gets it, man. It's what I wish so badly they would do more with, like, Sylvanas, Illidan, some of my favorite characters, man, in World of Warcraft. It's, cinematics can only do so much. you know?
One of the biggest questions we had though was, can this be sustained over 6 hours? Will people watch something like this and fall into the immersion of the animation?
Yeah. The answer to that was yes.
Do you actually have that quality to mesmerize an audience by staring at two characters, not saying a word?
I love that scene. Caitlyn and Vi are
It's all
fucking
between
awesome.
them and the air and the emotions.
And it feels tasteful too, you know? Doesn't feel forced. Doesn't feel unnecessary. Doesn't feel like it doesn't fit the characters. I liked it a lot. They build it up, dude, like the brothel scene. I love that scene. So good. When Vi walks by Caitlyn and she's talking to that fucking to that chick. Holy shit. I love that scene. Yeah, the sex tech shit is so funny, bro. Dudes went full on, I'm gonna give my best even if it's not enough. And then they didn't realize they were completely overdoing it, and I'm here for it. Hell yeah.
We all want to take animation to this place of mature drama, subtlety and nuance.
It's an industry-inspiring piece of work.
Style and
unlike anything
innovation.
else I've ever seen.
But it doesn't exist, and I think we together can do it.
Fuck yeah, dude. This is sick. Yeah, I think I'm just reading what he was saying in terms of overdoing, outdoing the expectation. I wouldn't say overdoing because that carries a negative connotation, but yeah. It's just art. I mean, it is just art, but it's also so much more than just art. It's so good. Art can be a mirror or a window. And good art is both.